Hey everybody, I'm Ben Higgins.
Hey, I'm Serena Pitt.
Hey, this is Blake Moynes.
Hey guys, I'm Brendan Scanzano.
Hi, this is Alana Milne.
Hey, I'm Lindsay Hamilton.
And you're watching The Bros Ceremony.
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 And you're watching Bros Ceremony.
And you're watching The Bros Ceremony.
This is The Bros Ceremony.
Your journey's about to begin.
Recapping the week that was in Bachelor Nation and previewing what's to come in the next episode with some special betting odds.
Everyone can't wait to find out what happens next week.
Here are your hosts, Michael the Hound Dog Harrison and Adam Scully.
Will you accept this rose?
Will you accept this rose?
Will you accept this rose?
It didn't work out, but it's still a chapter. Hello and welcome inside episode 35 of the Bros Ceremony. Adam Scully alongside Michael the Hound Dog Harrison. Michael, so much to talk about in this episode. 3 engaged couples from Bachelor in Paradise. Spoiler alert, that was last week. Bachelor in Paradise Canada. A couple of couples, that broke up on Bachelor in Paradise, now allegedly together. But most importantly, we had a little viewing party of the season finale of Bachelor in Paradise. And boy, oh boy, what an honor it was to watch alongside you.
I think it might have honestly been perhaps, I want to say maybe only the second time ever we've watched a live episode together. Certainly not been for the last couple of years anyway. I know that for certain anyway. Because obviously normally I'm working on Mondays or and you're obviously usually off on Monday evening. So just I'm never able to coordinate it. So I was very, very honored and so much. I was so enthralled, good word, by the whole proceedings that I usually, as we know, we always take notes during the episode. I forgot to do so about the first 90 minutes, and I happened to notice that you were doing so. So I'm going through my memory this time. No notes for at least the Bachelor in Paradise finale. The Bachelor in Paradise Canada, I did take notes. For the finale, it's all up here, hopefully.
I mean, you have a great memory. The memory of an elephant. Is that the term? The expression?
That's the term. Yeah. You have a memory of an elephant to remember that. Good job.
Feeling sharp. I will say happy Thanksgiving to all of our Canadian viewers and listeners of the podcast. Canadian Thanksgiving was yesterday. And to all those, hope you enjoyed your turkey. Michael, I know you're on your way back home here shortly. So have fun with that.
Thank you, Adam. Do you know what Americans call Thanksgiving for us on this last Monday?
Monday. They just call it Monday.
They just call it Monday. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Monday Night Football, actually. Yeah.
So a lot to unpack from the last season finale, I should say, of Bachelor in Paradise. Obviously, Noah and Abigail, that's where the episode began, the 3-hour extravaganza. And it was good, too, that it was 3 hours. There was no live show after the fact. It was just 3 hours of good, hearty content. Now, Noah and Whoa. Whoa.
The show's almost
time
over,
doing the
folks.
show here, Skulls. Nearly knocked the microphone over. I'm just getting very animated here.
Well done. I like it.
Okay. Well, so Noah and Abigail, they appear to be going their separate ways. And on the show, they did the goodbye. No seatbelt, of course, not safe there. But now, you know what? They're back together now. So this seemed like a great match from the start. And now it seems like everything's all in well. But what did you think of their goodbye, if you remember, of course?
I'm not going to lie. Oftentimes, I don't really follow these people's lives after the show. I don't really care, to be quite honest with you, that much. Obviously, I want them to find love. Don't get me wrong. Right. But I'm not like super invested in their lives that much. But of course, of all the couples, it certainly seemed like they're the ones that I certainly see the most. They get the most action, I guess, online in terms of everyone's talking about them or whatever, and they're showing pictures of them and so on and so forth. It must be exhausting to a point to be, when I become a Bachelor alumni, I'll let you know, Adam, if it's exhausting to be constantly being taken pictures of and so on and so forth.
Right.
But it was a sad goodbye. But I guess the reason it didn't quite hit with me was because we already knew, like, unfortunately, through social media. And that's kind of surprising that it just seems like, maybe I'm wrong on this, it seems like all these people, they just don't care. They post whatever on social media, and they haven't even been trying to hide any of these facts that they're together or broken up.
Yeah, it's sort of like, isn't that in their contract? Because
that's what I thought.
Right, because I would think this was taped or filmed May, June, maybe. I know now it's a long time. And especially living through the summer, and obviously, the Bachelor and Bachelorette, they have their like private meetings or whatever, where you fly them in and then they have their hangouts and watch Netflix, whatever, for a weekend or so. But that was one couple who broke up and now are back together. And same thing goes for Thomas and Becca. Well, Becca actually called him Tommy Two Glove, if you will, in social media posts. They seem to have a good connection. The breakup seemed to come out of nowhere, really. And but I will say, when they did break up, Becca was wearing a seatbelt.
I did notice that. Yeah, absolutely. As we said with you, which was I must reiterate, Adam, an absolute honor to watch the show with you. It was a pleasure. I still can't figure the Thomas Becca thing out, because you have the two extremes. You have Becca, who is the absolute beloved woman on her show. Everyone loved her. Obviously, then she became the Bachelorette. And then you have Thomas, who is the big time villain of his series. I guess maybe opposites attract or something like that. But it's just really, really funny to me that it just doesn't seem like initially it was like, oh, like these other people, Thomas is, sort of doing it just for clout or whatever, which he was, accused of several times.
Yeah.
But then, it actually seems like, yeah, they're legit and they're together. Speaking of couples that spoil whether or not they're together or not, I remember seeing a post on social media weeks ago that they were together. So cool.
I think maybe the lesson here for all of Bachelor Nation is don't use social media. Maybe.
Yeah, but they want those followers, so I totally understand why they'd want to, And then, like, I wonder what a life would be. Maybe they don't even need to work anymore, and they're just hawking products on Instagram.
Yeah,
like obviously that's a great form of advertising for those companies.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine. I don't know. I've never done it. I would imagine after a long time of doing all sorts of different plugs, you would just be like, I hate this. Maybe not. I don't know.
I mean, I guess we'll know if you are on the season of Bachelor in Paradise Canada, or if you're not. Only time will tell, I guess, in that regard. And we will get into Bachelor in Paradise Canada, and we will get into recurring guest Brendan Scanzano, who had a focal big role on that first episode of Bachelor in Paradise Canada. But getting back to the season finale, at this point in the episode, this is where, there's always a big turning point or a big, a moment where they say, can our relationships last after Paradise? So Ed and McKenna, that just wasn't going to work. Ed seemed like he was into it. McKenna, not so much. But, Anna and James, the same thing. But when James was leaving the beach, he said, you know what? I came here with Aaron, and I'm leaving here with Aaron. Michael, if we were on Bachelor in Paradise Canada or Bachelor in Paradise, or maybe we're both on this season, who knows? Do you think we would leave the beach together with you piggybacking me walking down the beach?
No, because we both would find everlasting true love, Adam.
Yeah.
So that's why we wouldn't be doing that. By the way, James, you're obviously talking about James and Aaron leaving the beach together. James has impeccable hair, just so well groomed and everything.
Yeah.
I will say that this hair today is absolutely fantastic. This might be the best I've ever had on the show, and I have no product in it. Didn't shower.
No product.
No, clearly I'm not a rival. What's the word? I'm not gonna be a rival to James in terms of the hair contest. He's amazing, but this is pretty darn good. So that was obviously very entertaining. One of the better, maybe the best, lighter moments of the finale. The Aaron and James leaving right away. Obviously, the most staged things of all time. That they would just leave right away, piggybacking each other. That they love each other. There's no way Aaron didn't have an off-camera discussion with Tia, saying, "Okay, I'm not really feeling it. Whatever." But I love the way they made it seem like they just out of nowhere decided to leave like that. No chance everyone would be, or at least Tia, I don't think anyway, would have been cheering that quickly. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that was a little bit of acting on their part.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, are they roommates now, maybe in San Diego?
I think I saw that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Now, speaking of Aaron and James, rumor has it they are now in Toronto as we record this. So stay tuned to Instagram throughout the weekend is all I'm saying. In the Toronto area, who knows? Maybe we'll have some collaborations with Aaron, with James, and who knows? Maybe a few more members of Bachelor Nation.
Wow, what a plug and a tease that you are, Adam. That's a good one. As you like to say, we'll see if it happens. I think that's your catchphrase, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll see what happens. That's what I say that's what I have tattooed on my quad, actually. We'll see what happens. Okay, 3 couples remain here. all in the fantasy suites. And, they all have their, lovey-dovey moments. I don't know if you want to really dive deep into it, but one thing, absolutely not. But Caitlyn and Dean. Is it Caitlyn or Caitlyn?
Caitlyn. Yeah.
With a T?
Caellynn.
Okay.
Caellynn. Caitlyn.
So
Spelling bee there.
Oh, right. Caitlyn and Dean. So they're the new unofficial sender offers, if you will, of Bachelor in Paradise. And because they found love on their season of Bachelor in Paradise. I believe there was almost a falling out, but then Dean convinced her and whatever. Now they're back. What did you think of Dean and Caitlyn being the ones to provide advice and good words?
I think Dean continues to look like Ricky Fowler, a PGA Tour golfer.
Yep.
They didn't really make much of an impression on me. Like I told you, it was all up here. Well, instead of I hadn't actually written anything down for that finale. Obviously, I hadn't forgotten they were on the finale, but they didn't leave such an impression on me that I was like, I need to talk about them. They just sort of seem to be there pretty much.
Yeah.
Just like, because the finale is not overly dramatic, let's just stunt cast a few people on there and make people go, oh, we got to watch this. But they didn't do a whole lot for me.
Yeah, I totally agree. But one thing I noticed throughout all three of the engagement ceremonies, I guess you could say, how hot was it? Like, was it a trillion degrees? I know they probably had some sort of TV light set up, because when you, spoiler alert, when you shoot television outdoors, the worst thing you can have is sunlight. The worst thing. And so they have to bring in lights everywhere. So I'm guessing it was about 120 degrees Fahrenheit, not Celsius, Fahrenheit. And that's why you saw so much sweat. And we also didn't see Neil Lane.
Okay, didn't we see him on the cell phone for a few seconds? I thought I could have sworn we did.
I know we saw the name on the engagement ring, or like
maybe it was the previous episode. Maybe it was the previous episode where Neil Lane, definitely one of the episodes this season. I thought it was the finale. It might have been the one before. He sort of FaceTimed in or whatever, which was like, Neil Lane, because I was thinking like, why isn't he there in person? But then again, obviously COVID protocols, it makes sense why he wouldn't be there.
Yeah, for sure. And okay, so Kenny and Mari, they have their night together. It was quite a journey for Kenny and Mari, with Demi, who was also a fixture involved in their love story
in the boom boom room.
The boom boom room, that's right. And but you know what? They ended up tying the knot, getting engaged. And one thing that I really liked in post, as you call it, or I call it, was Kenny's Instagram caption. When the episode aired, there's something about Mari. I thought that was pretty good. That was pretty good.
Quality movie as well, Adam. That was a time where I did watch more movies back in the day. Okay. Something about Mary, along with Brett Favre, of course, was in that movie as well. Yes, that was that's quite good. And it very tumultuous. Good word. Yeah. Relationship. It seemed like, but then toward the end, they've gotten strong. And even though there's I think a 15-year age gap. Yeah, seems like they are in it to win it, so to speak. And speaking of in it to win it, Marissa and Riley, who sparks were ablaze throughout this entire journey in their quest to find love on Paradise. And I wrote a line down. I truthfully can't remember who said it, but one of them said, "The more that you run, the more that you stay." So I'm not really sure what that means. The more you run, the more you stay. Well, it felt like Riley was, remember in their engagement ceremony, it seems like Riley was sort of hesitant. Like he kind of kept her on her toes and then did okay, we're going on one knee. Yeah. And they were. Yeah, they showed a couple times. Sorry to interrupt there. I apologize. No, you're good. They showed a couple times throughout the season where it was just jokes and he made her, dangling, and she was like, "Oh my God, what's going on here?" And then all of a sudden, I'm just messing with you. So I guess he liked to do that as well. And I think of all the couples, it seems like to me, that's like for sure locked in, I believe. Obviously we don't know for sure, but I think that's the couple that's most locked in for sure, as for sure going to stay together. Okay, so that's 2 of 3. That's a hot take, first of all, as well. And then we have Serena and Joe. Now, Serena, of course, a former guest on this podcast. Who knows? Maybe we'll have her on again here at some point very soon. That would be great. And so Serena was on the beach, obviously, one of the first to come on, as well as Joe. And Joe and Serena have a 12-year age gap. Joe, of course, was with Kendall. And Kendall was also on the beach earlier in the season, left, heartbreak. But Joe, who was
maybe golfing after this engagement ceremony with the golf shirt on. I didn't see what brand, but he was wearing a golf shirt. Kendall showed up, and that was one of the preview polls to bring the viewer in. And it seemed like Kendall is, maybe some closure there. I don't know, but sort of said she's happy for Joe. Yada yada yada. Whatever.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's not happy for Joe. Let's put it that way. Oh, I mean, not angry at him or whatever, but understandably, she'd be pretty upset about that. I read somewhere that she pretty much didn't want to even go back, but the producers, again, as we know, like to make drama and stir up a hornet's nest and test them and all that stuff. Yeah, I read somewhere that she wasn't even really wanting to even go back on that show or whatever, but it's like, well, I guess I will to appease you type thing or whatever. But yeah, because the whole thing just felt like it was like she was just shoehorned in there for no real reason.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't really have much to say, it seemed like. So it was like, what's the point here? So again, I think it was just simply a way to have for the preview for the finale. Oh my God, Kendall shows up. This is going to be crazy. And then it turned out shocking. It wasn't that crazy at all.
It certainly wasn't that crazy at all. And, good for, congratulations to Serena and Joe, the third engagement from this past season of Bachelor in Paradise. But Joe said something that really caught us off guard about the Toronto accent. Do we have a Toronto accent, eh? I don't know. Do we? We might out and about, like maybe.
I mean, I guess we do, but by the way, I also think Serena and Joe will be absolutely for sure, like, locked and loaded as well. Not just Riley and Marissa; they look like they're great as well. Obviously, we wouldn't know that we have the accent, but there was nothing that Serena said, at least from what we saw. I don't believe that was like, oh my God, that is so stereotypically Canadian. You know what I mean? It wasn't like she was talking about igloos, which is obviously not. We don't always talk about igloos and beaver tails and all these. These certain. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All these things that we're ice hockey. No, we don't call it ice hockey. All these sort of stereotypes about Canadians. She wasn't saying any of them at all. So this Toronto accent, other than I guess maybe saying maybe that's the only thing that she said, but I don't know. Doesn't seem like it. And didn't he also say Toronto, Canada at one point?
Probably. I think earlier on he said maybe.
Toronto, Canada. It's Toronto, Ontario. Again, folks, you wouldn't say Dallas, America. You would say Dallas, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Toronto, Ontario, not Toronto, Canada. Good grief. Anyway, go forward.
I agree. And what was I just going to say? I was going to say something, and it's totally
Toronto, the Canadian accent. How Canadians don't say ice hockey.
Yes.
Ice
Okay.
hockey's
Yes.
so
Sorry.
stupid.
I got it. No, I got it. And then also Serena. Wow, that was a brain fart right there. Too many concussions over here. Anyway, Serena did say, "My family's going to kill me," which I thought was pretty funny. And, there were posts that evening on social media, some TikToks. I know that's your favorite, of the whole Pitt and Joe Amabile, I think that's his last name, that watching it. And so we're super happy for them. But is this the 3 engagements after Bachelor in Paradise? This has to be a first in terms of how many?
It feels like it might have been the last season they had Paradise, because it definitely has seemed to be the last few times they've been on the beach. There has definitely been a better success rate, at least initially. She I also actually saw her on social media. She was out with Blake Moynes' mom, Emily. They were out with I'm not sure who the third woman was, but so yeah, I guess they're all buddies or whatever. And so yeah, maybe Blake, Brendan, Serena, Joe, Katie, Emily, maybe we'll all be best friends with all of them, is what I'm saying. We'll be best friends with every single one of those.
Every single one of them. Best friends, a best friend clang or gang, if you will, of all of us. So that's Bachelor in Paradise. Great to see so many couples finding love, because Michael, that is what this is all about. The journey to find love. And that journey continued a couple of nights ago with the premiere, the first ever episode of Bachelor in Paradise Canada. We've been so excited. We've been teasing this a little bit. And obviously, this hits closer to home for us because A, they filmed this much closer to home, literally to us. And B, because recurring guest on this podcast, Brendan Scanzano, was the first guy on the beach. Initial impressions. What did you think of the season premiere of Bachelor in Paradise Canada?
Well, first of all, I understand they can't have the same theme song.
That threw me for a loop.
And I was like, oh, and I get it. I understand. You have to do something different. But obviously, that's a huge letdown given that, the other one being so amazing. But I did love that Brendan was the first guy out there, set the tone right away.
Mhm.
Obviously, he's a beauty. Illeana came in right after him. It just seemed like he was, chatting up with Kevin. Although I must say, I was a little bit disappointed, not in Brendan, but disappointed in not as much discussion with Kevin. I want to have more Kevin moments, like there are more Wells moments, the bartender. And maybe we'll see more of that as the series goes on.
Yeah, I feel like we'll see more as that goes on, but hilarious. It's funny, how we both know Brendan now, and watching him on TV, I found myself laughing a lot more. I thought it was hilarious, the slow-mo beach walk. He had the short bathing suit going. He was showing the Quadzilla goalie legs, as we like to call them, and the initial bond with Illeana, both tanned, talking about their bronzer. Matching bronzer. Michael, what kind of bronzer do you use?
I was going to ask you if you've ever used bronzer. I'm a very, I guess you could say, a basic person. I don't really, as you can tell, I don't really do much to spruce up myself. I don't really try very hard. I don't really care.
You don't need to.
I've owned a condo for over 5 years, brag, and I've done basically nothing to this condo. So what I'm trying to say is there is not a chance in a trillion years I would, unless maybe I was on the show, or will I be on the show? Would I put on bronzer? I don't even know. It just feels like way too much work. No, thank you. I know it's probably the exact same thing, of course, as sunscreen. Not going to happen. Not happening. Do you wear bronzer?
I've used tanning oil before. It's not, I guess, is that bronzer? I don't know. We'll have to have Brendan on to discuss what kind of bronzer.
I have no idea. No clue.
Oh man, I laugh on the show, and that might have been the hardest I've laughed on this show. Now there, of course, there's some cast of characters. What?
I was gonna say you love to laugh at him.
I hate laughing. There's a cast of characters on this show, of course. Lisa, the likes squirrels, and I don't know. Yep. And was it like she sort of talks like a broadcaster? I don't know. I sort of had that where like the inflection, it was almost like she was narrating an ESPN 30 for 30. Like how I changed my voice there.
Yeah, I do. Obviously she was the star of this first episode anyway, in terms of the most interesting of all the characters, going in on like high heel shoes that were crazy on the beach there. She was really good. But they also mentioned, I think it was just before she came on the beach, I believe, Kamil, who also was a huge part of this episode.
Mhm.
I'm going to be honest with you, Adam. I don't remember Kamil in any way, shape, or form. In no way. They could have had Camilo Villegas on this show, PGA Tour golfer, and I would have been like, oh yeah, I still don't remember you on, like, I guess he was on 2 different seasons. Don't recall him whatsoever. But yes, back to Lisa. Obviously the most hectic, I guess, for a first episode for her. She was definitely feeling the feels, as it were. I thought she was she was really, really funny.
Yeah, and tears early on, of course, as always happens on The Bachelor in Paradise, because the journey to find love, Michael, it's quite emotional. One thing I also noticed of all the meet and greets, some handshakes, some hugs, some sort of half, bro hug thing. Some people didn't know what to do. I found this hilariously awkward.
Yeah, without question. Of course, you mentioned those intros, by the way, and you also touched on this a little bit earlier. Lots of slow-mo shots in this episode.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of overkill in that, a little bit.
Little cheese.
The one that had the most impression, I would say, coming in, obviously, was I believe his name was Joey, the pink Speedo, nothing else, cowboy boots, and I guess a cowboy hat. And he definitely, so my question for you, Adam, is would you ever, or when you were on the show, will you ever show up in the same attire? Just a tiny little pink Speedo, cowboy boots, cowboy hat, that's it.
You know what? Thank you for the question. I appreciate it. No, I would not do that. I've never worn a Speedo. I've never done that. Perhaps I've no. You?
Will you ever wear cowboy boots or cowboy hat? Say you're in a place that would, in a place in America, perhaps, that would love, would love some people wear stuff like that. Will you ever, that celebrates music like that?
I mean, spoiler alert, the boys are going to be in Nashville in late February. So maybe we should all wear cowboy attire, boots, the jeans, the 7 buttons open on the button down, and maybe we'll do an episode wearing that attire. I think that would be a ratings bonanza.
And also would probably get us kicked off the air because as
Maybe.
I've known the first time I was in Nashville, it's impossible almost to come back in one piece. So I think we would be rather slightly a couple wobbly pops, just maybe one or two is what I think we'd have. Yeah,
Maybe not, maybe so. Another guy who was on this premiere who played a focal point was Brendan, not Brent. Of course, Brendan Scanzano did, but Brendan M, former CFL player, and he was a hot commodity on the beach with Angela and I believe her name was Stacy.
Yes.
Who both locked lips and eyes with Brendan.
Big time. And his eyes are dreamy. I could totally understand why they would love him. Stacy, I actually had written down how I loved her hilarious laugh. That was before they even showed the sort of the ending credits where they were all making fun of that laugh. I just thought it was definitely a unique, distinct laughter, which was good. Yeah, she was all about Brendan, and as we said, Angela, they both are fighting over him already. That's gonna hit the fan, so to speak, here, I would imagine, going forward.
That's right. Definitely. Hot take there. Another Canadian on this. Of course, there are a number of Canadians on Bachelor in Paradise Canada. Is Caitlyn Clementine, as she was referred to a couple of times, and she was on Colton's season of The Bachelor, and she was on Paradise, I think, once. Yes, she was right because of. And here's the first time it was mentioned all episode. Stagecoach made a return to the beach because Caitlyn and what was that? Blake Horseman? I don't know. Blake H. They had a connection and there was a whole Stagecoach fiasco. And Stagecoach made a mention, but Caitlyn also, a couple of guys had the hots for Caitlyn early on.
Well, I'll be vulnerable with you here, Adam.
Thank you.
I don't blame them at all because I think she's absolutely beautiful, career-driven, as she said. She's a realtor. I think, I don't see why they wouldn't be. She's absolutely beautiful. I thought it was her, but no, it might have been someone else. In this episode, it made me laugh because I thought of you because you've said it this episode. Maybe it wasn't her. Maybe it was someone else. But someone said literally a couple times, and I went, "Oh, that's awesome. That's Adam's expression." So that made me laugh. That
literally is awesome. Literally something else that really stuck out to me. You can swear on this? I know. I was like, what?
That's literally the next thing I had written in my notes.
How is that allowed?
Literally. It's I know when it first happened, I was like, wait, was that like a
did they just miss the bleep there? Yeah.
And then as we were saying, Lisa, she was the one who provided most of the swear words. She was unsteady and actually literally fell over in one of the camera shots as well. So that I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. I don't know why I found that so cool, but it just seemed neat to me.
It did. Yeah, it's different. And something that isn't different. Oh, what a segue there. On Bachelor in Paradise, of course, there's always going to be the villain. There's always going to be drama. There's always a backstory. And everyone's sitting around after night one, which we'll get to the connection with Brendan and Illeana here momentarily. But they and Caitlyn, Veronique and Caitlyn, who work together, but clearly don't see eye to eye. And Kamil was asked to go on a date. Of course, Kamil and Caitlyn had this connection. And Michael, they went golfing. When you saw this, were you losing your mind saying, what, like, why aren't you there?
I mean, obviously, I was like, obviously desperately wanted to be on that date. That would have been amazing with Vay. However, I must say, they were using clubs from like 1960, it seemed like. They were like, instead of actual driver, it was like a wood, a persimmon wood from the way back in the day. I thought that was pretty bizarre. Could you not stump out for an actual club of nowadays? I don't exactly know what the deal was there. That was very, very bizarre to me that they had a really, really old golf club. But yes, that date, she considering I think she said she'd never played before. She could hit the ball pretty well. I was impressed.
She was kind of like slap shotting it a little bit. She had the the Happy Gilmore putter stance.
It's not an easy game, like, especially for someone, who hasn't played before. Yeah, they would think that's like a sort of a hockey stick maybe with the way you hold it. But no, she was pretty good. and definitely there's going to be obviously massive fireworks. I'm dying to know the backstory behind this one as to why they hate each other.
I'm dying to hear that backstory, and fireworks were ablaze throughout this episode. And Brendan and Illeana, they certainly had some fireworks early on. Illeana said, basically used the term emotionally available, and talk about a first kiss. There were the moments happening there.
It must be funny now that we are such good buddies with Brendan to actually be able to see his first kiss or whatever. It just it's unique. And yeah, obviously they said that pretty much. It seemed like they were like the strongest, at least initially anyway. We'll see how this all plays out. But yeah, Brendan and Illeana, instant chemistry. They were the first two on the beach, and perhaps they'll be the last ones to leave the beach. I think it makes sense what I'm trying to say there.
That totally made perfect sense. And will they be the last two on the beach? We'll have to wait and see what's going to happen next. Now, of course, Michael, this is now a little different for us because the Bachelorette, that was the thing of the past. Bachelor in Paradise is now behind us. But now moving forward on next week's show, we'll recap episode 2 of Bachelor in Paradise Canada, and we'll also preview episode 1 of The Bachelorette, Michelle's Journey to Find Love. That gets underway next Tuesday evening, City TV, ABC, wherever you watch. Now, Michael, you are a very busy man. You have a lot of hats involved with a lot of different things and jobs and whatever. You're also the host of the famous H-Dog Pod on iTunes or wherever you can find your favorite podcast. And you recently had a guest on your show. Tell us about him or her.
Yeah, sure did. And by the way, I completely had forgotten about this new Bachelorette season coming up. Obviously, I would have watched it. It would have been on my PVR, but I had completely forgotten about that, which was crazy. Yes, H-Dog Pod episode, Jason Sobel, who
yes,
the golf writer extraordinaire, does a lot of golf videos, golf aficionado, really. I talked to him about the Bryson and Brooks upcoming match that they're going to be playing against each other, the Ryder Cup, some John Daly stories, discussing about Tiger Woods, lots of good stuff with him. And we also talked a little bit about hockey because he insisted if he were to come on, we have to talk a little bit of pucks. So we discussed sweet old school goaltenders of the past. Spoiler alert, your name did not come up, sadly. But yeah, it was a really, really fun interview with him. And obviously he's a beauty. And that was a tremendous guest. Perhaps my best guest ever over you. No, I'm just kidding. I can never actually say who my best guest ever is, because then that would just be too rattling for everybody else.
Well, did Michael and Jason Sobel discuss Peter Sidorkowitz? Did they discuss Roman Czechmanik? Did they discuss Sebastian Santomo? You'll have to check out the H-Dog Pod on iTunes or wherever you find your favorite podcast platform. Michael, this is now another new era, I guess, for the Bros Ceremony as we preview and recap Bachelor in Paradise Canada. So excited for this. Our next few episodes, they're going to be ravishing, riveting, thrilling. But before we sign off here, did you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share with our audience? No?
No, I do.
Oh,
I was like, oh man, I'm trying to do some maybe nonverbal cues. I still got something to say here, Adam. You never know. Sometimes you won't ask it. Sometimes you will. I was pretty worried there. Yeah, we cannot mention Chris, the guy who was really into Caitlyn. Him sniffing her, I'm sure that was probably not a great play. He's really into her. It was very obvious even before her interviews that she wasn't so much into him because she likes Kamil, obviously. That was pretty awkward, that whole situation, certainly. And that's probably not the greatest move. And then, yeah, I did actually, I don't know if you saw it. Did you see the half hour after I don't even know what they called it. Basically, after
I didn't. No, I didn't.
That's fine. The hosts, Brendan Scanzano says they're beauties. Obviously, I trust his opinion. But I don't. They were fine. The one guy looked like Jason Bateman, actually. I thought that the
was it Jason Bateman?
It could have been. But yeah, they're just going over picking cast members based on their baby photos, and Kevin and Astrid were there. Astrid is pregnant. I don't know if people on Bachelor Nation know that. I'm sure they probably do. And the last note I wrote about it was it's mostly a huge waste of time. So just saying, I mean, you could have watched it. It looks like there are gonna be those episodes, those half-hour episodes throughout the season or whatever. So I'm intrigued. I'll certainly record them and see what they're like. The first one, just recapping what you saw, basically.
There you go. That's why they call it a recap show. Well, hopefully people stick around and watch us on our recap show as we look back on Bachelor in Paradise Canada and look ahead to the next episode of Bachelor in Paradise Canada, The Bachelorette. everything involved. Congratulations to all 3 couples who got engaged on Bachelor in Paradise. Congrats to the other 2 couples who stuck it out, have gotten back together, and who knows, maybe they'll get engaged in the near future. Thanks to all those who have followed us, subscribed to us on social media. Looking forward to seeing what's next here for the Bros ceremony. It's going to be some busy and exciting times. For Michael the Hound Dog Harrison, I'm Adam Scully. Thanks so much for joining us right here on the Bros ceremony.